everyone, it's Tamika J, Girl.Goes.Holistic. Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a few of my current pantry staples that I use to craft all my yummy plant-based vegan meals. So if you're interested, I hope that you stay tuned and watch to the end to see what I use to come up with all of my delicious recipes. Let's get started. So in this jar I have coconut sugar. I typically like to use coconut sugar or agave as my sweeteners when I'm crafting my recipes, and I use this in replacement of white sugar. So anything that I need to be sweetened, especially when it comes to oats or baked goods, I love to use coconut sugar. It's a great alternative, and to me it's sweet, but it also has a smoky aftertaste, and that's why I enjoy it. It's definitely one of my favorites. So in this jar I actually have garbanzo fava flour. I like to keep this as a staple because it's a great binder when you're trying to thicken up recipes, especially if you're using any sort of bean or chickpea. So I typically use this to kind of bind my falafel together, or I'll use it to actually make garbanzo chickpea burgers and add tons of veggies. So this is definitely a staple that I like to keep on hand. So in this jar I have good old handy dandy dry black beans. These are a staple for me because I love to be able to just put a cup of beans in my Instant Pot or on the stove with a couple cloves of garlic and let them just simmer away. I love making beans from dry beans typically because they just have a little bit of a different texture than canned beans, which I do also use, but it's also good to have dry beans in your pantry as a staple, so whenever you need to whip up something really quick, you have some beans there already ready to go. This next pantry staple happens to be dried sea moss. I always have sea moss on hand because I am a proponent of holistic nutrition. I feel like food can definitely heal us at a cellular level, so that's why I love to keep sea moss on hand. I use it every day, and what I typically do is I'll soak this overnight, sometimes with fresh lime, then I'll rinse it, and in the morning I'll actually blend it with fresh water, and it turns into a wonderful gel that you can use in all different recipes. I happen to put it in my smoothies just about every day. I also mix it into my juices, but I put it into my gravies, my soups, and my stews. You can also put it in sauces once it's actually crafted into a gel. So this is definitely a pantry staple for me, for sure. This next pantry staple happens to be raw cashews. I typically like to buy raw nuts and seeds because you can really use them to craft them into just about anything. I love using raw cashews to make my vegan parmesan, and I love to use ground cashews in any sort of sauce that you need to thicken. These are definitely a staple for me. I use them as often and frequently as I can. You just soak them, blend them up, and turn them into whatever you want. They're also good to snack on too. This next jar contains chia seed. This is definitely a pantry staple for me. I like to put chia seed in my berry compotes. I love to put it on top of my smoothie bowls, and I love to add it in my smoothies. It's just a great source of protein, and they're bioavailable, so they're great to use as thickeners as well. This next staple that I have happens to be dried coconut. These are coconut chips. I also use shredded coconut. I like to have coconut in my pantry because I like to put it on top of my smoothies or smoothie bowls. I also use this to make coconut bacon, so this is definitely a staple for me. This next pantry staple happens to be dried apricot. I love snacking on apricot. It's a great way to get that sweet fix that you need when you're craving something sweet, but something also that's natural and good for you. So I love to make sure that I have apricots on hand. I like to snack on them. I also like to use them in my sauces, and I also like to put them in my smoothie bowls. This next pantry staple is steel cut oats. These are arguably my favorite oats. I love to just put them on the stove or in my Instant Pot and let them simmer away with a plant-based milk. I really can't express to you how much I love steel cut oats because they're just so rich and creamy. The texture is different than our regular quick oats, which I also do use and eat, but I really can't go wrong with steel cut oats. They happen to be my favorite. This next pantry staple happens to be pitted dates. Dates are truly nature's candy. You can eat them, put peanut butter in them, also use them to create crusts for any sort of raw vegan baked good. So I like to keep these on hand because I can throw a few in my nut milk. I can also throw a few of them in my smoothies. It's just that perfect sweetener. I love dates. Definitely a staple for me. This next pantry staple happens to be raw pumpkin seed, also known as pepitas. I love to keep these on hand because I love eating nuts and seeds, and what I'll typically do is put them on top of my smoothie bowls or actually in my smoothie, and I also use them to help bind sauces once they're ground up, and I do like to eat them with other mixed nuts, so these are a staple for me for sure. And last but not least, this pantry staple happens to be sunflower seeds. I love keeping sunflower seeds on hand because you can actually use these to make nut butters. You can also add them in your smoothies, which I do all the time. And I do like to snack on these with other nuts and also use them in sauces. So they're a great pantry staple for me for sure.